Will the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs please come to order? It's 1:03 p.m. I'd like to welcome Council Members Cordero, Kia'aina, Okimoto, Say, Tulba, Tupola, Wires, and Wire for attending. Everyone gets an A for participation and attendance today. Before we start our meeting, I have some procedural announcements to make. Pursuant to Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all agenda items when the item is taken up in the following order. First, those in-person testifiers in the council chamber, and then remote testifiers. Before testifying, each person shall state their name, and each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. For remote testifiers, when your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Some friendly reminders and tips: please video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you're watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you're called to testify. When the timer on screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. All registered testifiers will be called upon first. Then I'll give persons who have not registered an opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. Please utilize the raised hand feature on Zoom to be called upon. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings to be conducted by a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, if any objections are noted, I'll call for a roll call vote. For those council members participating from outside of the council chamber, which doesn't seem to be anyone today, in accordance with HRS Section 92-3.7, the meeting will automatically recess if we lose audiovisual contact with you and cannot reconvene until we reestablish contact. Therefore, please announce beforehand if you'll be voluntarily signing out of the meeting. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. And so, members, we're going to begin with agenda item number 1, which is Bill 45 of 2023, CD1, which addresses the powers, duties, and functions of the Director of Human Resources. Members, we do have a hand-carried CD2 submitted by myself. The CD2, which is OCS 2023-0833, makes the following amendments. It specifies that the mayor may designate the Director of Human Resources as the official who submits the annual report regarding the city's vacant positions to the council in accordance with Section 2-18.7 Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021. It also adds additional reporting requirements to the current annual report of vacant positions as required by ROH 2-18.7 and makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments. We do have the Director of Human Resources, Nola Miyazaki, here in the chamber, if she'd like to comment on this bill.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Dos Santos Tam. Good afternoon, members of the council. Nola Miyazaki, Director of the Department of Human Resources. We appreciate your amendments and your considering our testimony. We do think that in lieu of some of the requirements in Bill 45, we suggest that the proposed amendments be adjusted to Section 2-18.7, which we think will provide more clarity and less confusing and less conflicting regulations for everyone. We also wish to reemphasize that the abolishment of positions is within the powers, duties, and functions of the mayor, and so to that extent, we request that the abolishment of positions and evaluation at the department level be left at the mayor's level and with the departments as well. Thank you.
Members, any questions for the Director? Okay, seeing none, if you'd like to stick around in case there are any questions, that would be helpful. We'll proceed now with in-person testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers on this matter?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, I see Angela Melody Young. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and the City Council. Angela Melody Young testifying in support. So the current responsibilities of the Director of Human Resources is to prepare and recommend to the Civil Service Commission reasonable regulations to carry out applicable provision of the Charter, examine applicants for employment and officers and employees of the city pursuant to any applicable ordinance, civil service laws, and rules in effect. And the amendment is to request the director to work with other city departments to analyze, monitor, and identify vacant positions and to submit an annual report to the city council detailing the number of long-term vacant positions and the impact to city operations and the steps taken to fill these positions and any challenges encountered. And the report shall be turned into the Director of Human Services. So we're in support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, clerks, is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to testify on this matter? Okay, seeing none, clerks, do we have any registered remote testifiers or anyone standing by remotely to testify on this matter?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, there being none, members, we are in discussion on this. Is there any discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none, I want to thank Chair Waters for introducing this package of bills, not only this, but the other resolutions that we passed out at the last council meeting. And I think this is an important conversation that we need to keep on having. So, seeing as there's no discussion, the chair recommends Bill 45 of 2023 CD1 be amended to the hand-carried CD2. Any discussion or objections? Any reservations? Hearing none, Bill 45 of 2023 CD1 is amended to the CD2. The chair then recommends that Bill 45 of 2023 CD2 be reported out for passage on third reading. Any discussion, objections, or reservations to that recommendation? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Members, the next item on the agenda is Bill 44 of 2023, which deters persons from making or inciting the making of a false statement to a public servant. I see that we have Don Takeuchi-Puna here. Thank you, Director, for joining us. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, members of the committee. I think we definitely appreciate the efforts to address some of the monster homes developers through this bill. The concerns that we have are just that I think this is a higher level of, or a burden of proof that we would need to establish knowingly or intentionally that the false statement was made, and that it becomes a criminal misdemeanor. So we would need to basically have attorneys or some other way to deal with this. Again, we have Bill 53, I believe, before the council on first reading that adds more fines, and we have a process in place for that, including an appeals process. So that might be something for the committee and the council to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Any questions for the director? Okay, Chair Waters.
Thank you. Are you aware of the statute, similar statute that the legislature passed with regard to lying to DPP?
Yes.
Does that make it a felony that the legislature passed?
I don't think it's a felony. I think it's a misdemeanor as well. I could be wrong.
Okay, does Corp Counsel know?
Dwayne Pang, Deputy Corporation Counsel. I don't quite know. I know the reference, I know the statute that you're talking about, but I don't have that in front of me as to whether it's a misdemeanor. I'm guessing it's a misdemeanor, but I'm not sure.
I think that's worth finding out, because if we make this a misdemeanor and on the state level it's a felony, I think under case law, the case might be State versus Modica, that says that you have to use the lesser of the two if you're charged with two similar bills. So if the state law is a felony and this is a misdemeanor, it's actually lessening the penalties. But I think it might be worthwhile to check it out first.
I'll do a quick check and get back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Yeah, Councilmember Tupola.
Just for Deputy Corp Counsel, sorry, not Director. If you could, when you verify that, I believe it's HRS 710-1063, unsworn
Yes.
statements to
Yes.
officials, because I believe it's been a misdemeanor for some years,
Yes.
but definitely in support of making the laws coincide. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Members, any other questions? Floor Leader Cordero.
Okay, thank you, Chair. And I guess this is just for maybe you, Chair. If Chair is open to allowing the purpose to be a little more clear of that, what it's that the intent of the ordinance and bill is for. If that's already been discussed throughout the process and with OCS, if you would be willing to share the reason why we have it so vague.
Yeah, that was actually part of what I was going to bring up in discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
yeah, you do. Okay.
Thank you.
Chair.
Mr. Chair, I did clarify it. It is a misdemeanor.
Okay. Thank you for the quick search. Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, at this time, we'll go to testimony. We'll proceed with in-person testimony. All right, Angela Melody Young. Then anyone else who'd like to testify, please make yourself known. Angela, please proceed. Thank you.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and the City Council. Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. And wishing to comment, so subsection A of Chapter 18 of the United States Code 1001 prohibits a person in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the federal government from knowingly and willfully falsifying, concealing, or covering by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact. So that's number one. And then two, making any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation. Or three, making or using any false writing or document, knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement. So because if at the federal level they have taken action to set parameters of lies and false statements, for the city to match that statutory language is a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to testify? All right, we'll proceed with remote testifiers. Is there anyone, clerks, do we have anyone registered or standing by remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, that being the case, members, before we enter into discussion, and thank you, Committee Vice Chair Cordero, for queuing this up. For your context, in the last committee hearing, we amended Bill 44 to move false statement language into Chapter 18, specifically relating to permits, and this gave us a framework to add additional penalties for those who are identified as having, quote, a history of false statements, unquote, due to criminal conviction or administrative determination. And so late last week, I posted Council Communication 246, which listed some of our options for penalties as sent in a memo from OCS, and they were divided into three categories. They were civil penalties, administrative deterrence, and also property-related deterrence. And these may include things like demolition and other things that we've talked about. The Council Communication did request that members, if they wanted to, could provide their preferences from among these options. We received one Council Communication in response from Council Vice Chair Kia Aina, so thank you for submitting that. This doesn't preclude other members from sharing their thoughts, though, so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to give members an opportunity to discuss their preferences, and I might start with Council Vice Chair Kia Aina to discuss the deterrence that she proposed in her Council Communication 254.
Thank you, Chair Dos Santos Tam. I believe it is important that this measure meaningfully deter those that make false statements related to construction, building, and permitting processes and inspections. With this in mind, my Council Communications recommended requiring additional building inspections for persons found to have made a false statement including through issuance of temporary certificates of occupancy, and requiring that a non-compliant structure be demolished. If persons found to have made a false statement construct a non-compliant structure and non-compliance persists. I am also open to supporting making it easier for persons found to have made a false statement to be charged with perjury. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to Councilmember Cordero's question about the purpose of the bill, I think it was intended to be broad so that we can have this very full discussion about what to do with these folks who habitually make false statements, including perhaps the people who have had their building permits revoked for providing false statements to DPP, which DPP, to their credit, has stepped up recently. So, members, any other discussion on this bill?
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Tupola.
For Corp Counsel.
Yes.
I had kind of a, not a follow-up, but a contrary question, I guess. I came across an individual in the community that actually was given false statements from a DPP person that actually went to jail. So it was like some years ago, but this person is still facing issues with the statement that was made by the city worker. What is the recourse for that person that was told false statements from someone that previously worked for the department that was punished for what they, for bribes?
I would think that private property owner would bring that to the department and see if their building permit or whatever they were refused or approved could be amended. And then there is a process, whether it is approved by DPP, you can go through the Building Board of Appeals or the Zoning Board of Appeals. So there are remedies that they can seek. But without the specifics, I really can't.
Okay, we'll talk offline about it. I do think that it's important, since we're trying to clean things out, rectify things, that those individuals that had to come across unfortunate situations like that, not just in DPP, but in other offices where people have been removed and we're trying to fix things. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you, members. Any other questions? Okay. There being none, the chair recommends that Bill 44 of 2023 CD1 be postponed to a time and date to be determined by the committee chair. This will give us a little bit more time to work with DPP as well as work with the members on what those penalties are. I do want to thank again Vice Chair Kia Aina for providing some suggestions, because I think the public really wants to see some accountability here for these folks that continually construct monster homes or provide false information to get around the parameters and guidelines that we've tried to set. So we're going to keep working on this, and we'll come back later. Okay, that being item number 2, we'll move on to item number 3, Resolution 23-20.
Wait, do we need to vote on that or no?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, any discussion or objections on the recommendation to postpone to a time and date determined by the committee chair? Okay, seeing none. Hearing none, so ordered. Agenda item number 3, Resolution 23-202, provides for the acquisition of easements for public use for the rock slide mitigation improvements in the vicinity of Pacific Heights Road Site 070G, located at Kewalo, Paoa, Honolulu, Oahu, Hawaii, determining and declaring the necessity of the acquisition by eminent domain. I believe we have with us Margaret Tanaka, the Land Acquisition Officer at the Department of Design and Construction.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. I'm, as he said, Margaret Tanaka with the Department of Design and Construction, Land Division, and we request your consideration for adoption draft resolution 23-202, providing for the acquisition of easements for the rock slide mitigative improvements in the vicinity of Pacific Heights Project, located in Paoa, Honolulu, Oahu, Hawaii. The purpose of the project is to mitigate rockfall hazards within the city's right-of-way And the construction work includes rock scaling to remove loose rocks from the slope. Then shotcrete will be applied to the slope up to the city's property line. And then grouted anchors will be drilled into the slope to hold the shotcrete in place. The anchors are embedded about 10 feet into the slope and may partially extend into private property, requiring easements for the portion in the private property. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now proceed with in-person testimony on this item. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to testify? Okay, seeing none. Clerks, do we have any registered remote testifiers or anyone standing by online to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, seeing none. Members, we are in discussion. Members, any discussion? Go. Vice Chair Kiana.
Chair, I'm sorry. Can I ask a question of DDC?
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. Can I clarify, are these two properties, are they alongside a city street?
Yes.
And could you please explain why we need to use condemnation as opposed to just having an easement with these property owners? I mean,
Yes. So there's actually just two properties involved, and one property owner who initially was receptive suddenly went, we're not able to contact them. They're unresponsive to phone calls, emails, letters. So unfortunately, we have no alternative at this point.
for that one property, what about the other property?
The other property is receptive, but we typically submit the whole project together. So just in case something happens, we don't have to go back to city council.
Is that property owner that is open to an easement, are they okay with the condemnation?
Yes, we explained
okay.
to them, yes.
And, okay, and so this is not just for their public safety, but city liability purposes for
Yes.
anything else that may
Right.
come down and go past their property. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. And
Yes.
can I ask, do you guys have a team that makes an assessment? Because there's elsewhere on Oahu that could be in similar circumstances. Do you actually have a team that's going to make these kind of assessments in different neighborhoods?
Yes, well, I'm with the land division, so that is part of design and construction civil division, and I understand even within Pacific Heights, they have multiple locations that they are studying, and they also do other studies, but I don't have, all that knowledge.
Okay, because these kind of circumstances exist elsewhere. And do we have a valuation?
Okay, yes. Oh, for the easement?
Yes, or no, for the condemnation.
Oh, okay.
We're going to acquire these properties, the city, correct?
Yes. So they were, oh gosh. I think the acquisition of the easements were about $3,000 each.
Okay, that's for the easements, but we're condemning it.
Phenomenal.
We're condemning these properties, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be a different valuation.
Well, it's a court settlement. Actually, sorry, I think it's nominal. I apologize, because it's on the slope.
Yeah. So it'd be probably comparable to 3,000?
I don't know. It's
Well,
a court.
the reason we got to ask is, so, I'm not questioning the process. I understand why you're doing
Yes.
it, but that's our job to ask how much.
Yeah, so
I mean, is it-
typically the compensation is nominal, and it would be the same unless the courts deem it to be something else.
So likely under $10,000?
Yes, yes.
Okay. In the future, that needs to be contemplated when you put the resolutions together, because it's our job. I mean, condemnation is a serious mechanism, right?
Yes.
And as a result, I think I maybe agree with your tool, but I think we always have to be careful because sometimes it could be astronomical.
Yes.
We need to get a handle on this because this is going to help happen elsewhere. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And just to reiterate, sorry, we'll build upon that. So just to reiterate, could you describe the amounts of land being contemplated here? I mean, I understand it's a fairly narrow strip, right? And it's otherwise like a rocky sort of embankment. It's not as if we're taking somebody's entire yard or something like that.
Okay, I believe the two parcels total 925 square feet. Let's see. One is 216 square feet and the other is 709 square feet. And it's on a slope.
Great. And I think members, for your edification, Departmental Communication 619 has the maps for this. So, good. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll proceed with in-person testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers?
Chair, there are none.
Is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to testify on this matter? Okay, seeing none, clerks, do we have any registered remote testifiers or anyone standing by remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, members, we are in discussion. Members, any discussion on this? Okay, there being none, the chair recommends that Resolution 23-202 be reported out to be laid over and published, and thereafter adopted at a subsequent council meeting. Is there any discussion, objections, or reservations to that recommendation? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Agenda item number 4 is next. This is Resolution 23-143, which confirms the appointment of Mutadia Rice to serve on the Ethics Commission of the City and County of Honolulu for a term to expire on December 31st, 2026. We do have the appointee with us. And if you'd like to just say some introductory remarks. Thank you.
I would. Thank you. Aloha kako, Chairman Dos Santos Tom, and the esteemed members of our City Council of Honolulu, City and County. May I make a statement prior to your questions?
Of course.
All right. I just wanted to say how excited I am about this appointment and very happy to be here. I would like to put myself in perspective for you, for those of you I have not met. Over 2,000 years ago, the Greek philosopher Euripides said that justice sees even in the dark. And those words have always stayed with me since I've learned them. I realize how true that advice is, and especially going into this position as an ethics commissioner, I know that my moral compass is very strong, and it dictates right from wrong in all matters. But it also requires me to employ perspective and ability to weigh matters before rushing to judgment in any scenario or situation, because justice demands integrity. I've been very privileged that moral philosophy is what dictates ethics, and in my studies of philosophy, it has guided me well. When you determine the actions of others and you judge those actions or right or wrong, you really have to understand the bigger picture, the 360 of any situation. I've been able to practice normative ethics in terms of business and governance and those standards of conduct. I look forward to having discussions with the seasoned members of the Ethics Commission about theories of meta-ethics, and I especially am looking forward to learning how applied ethics have been employed with the commission in existence and how it's handled matters of the city already. I was fortunate as a child to learn that ethics was knowing the difference between having the right to do and the difference of what is right to do in a situation where you have judgment or influence or impact. As a teen, I understood what Martin Luther King Jr. had to say when he said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent in things that matter." So my life of activism and community work has reflected that. And as an adult, I was fortunate to have the statesman Nelson Mandela tell me that to create a society which recognizes that all people are born equal and entitled to equal treatment, life, liberty, prosperity, and governance, those words stayed with me. So my pledge is to serve the Honolulu City and County Commission with honor and integrity. And I wanted to thank Mayor Blangiardi for the appointment. And I wanted to especially aloha the City Council and Executive Affairs for having the patience and warm regard for me during this process.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the appointee? Okay, seeing none, I just have some brief questions, just for the record. Thank you, first of all, for volunteering to serve on the Ethics Commission. It's a hugely important board that deals with so many different topics. Charter Section 11-107 prohibits ethics commissioners from taking an active part in political management or political campaigns. Could you briefly describe any campaign activity you've participated in recently? We don't need, candidates or campaigns specifically, but just sort of the nature of that. And then, will you be willing to take a step back and not participate in any campaign activity during the time that you're a ethics commissioner as per the charter?
As an active voter and one who believes that we all must use our vote as our voice, I have been loosely supporting numerous candidates over the decades, wherever I have been. After studying what they believe, what they say, and what they promise to do, I have been a loose supporter, never a paid staff. And in terms of your second question, of course, if as an ethics commissioner, any individual who serves in council or any other matter, if they were being investigated or judged, I would recuse myself if I knew that individual well. And if I knew that individual, more than casually, I would very strongly consider that being recused would be the best action to take in any matter.
Thank you. And then the second part is, I understand you've done consulting work in the past. I have, as well as a number of, the various commissioners on all the city commissions. And so, if any former clients should come before the Ethics Commission, would you be willing to recuse yourself from that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Just to get that on the record. Members, any other questions for the appointee? Okay, well, thank you again for your willingness to serve. We'll now turn it over to public testimony and give members of the public, if there are any here, first and foremost, in-person testimony. Is there anyone who'd like to testify in person? All right. We'll go to Angela Melody Young, and then afterwards, the next testifier can come up.
Aloha, City Council, Angela Melody Young, testifying in support. I just met the nominee outside, and she seems like a really good nominee, and I really liked how she explained what ethics is. So James Rest in 1994 said this, and he works on theory and research. Rest's four-step model provides the foundation for moral reasoning and includes the steps: 1, identification of the ethical dilemma, ethical sensitivity; 2, application of moral judgment; 3, engagement of moral motivation, and acting with moral intent. James Rest also developed the theoretical framework for the process of ethical decision-making. His model has 4 components: moral awareness, moral motivation, moral judgment, and moral action. And the nominee the nominee's values about life, liberty, and freedom and ethics, I think will be very valuable to the Ethics Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, next testifier, please come forward and state your name, and then proceed.
Aloha, and thank you, Chairman Tommy Waters and the City Council members. My name is Jody Endicott. And I have known Tadia for several years. I'm in support of her. Her knowledge of business, media, and creative enterprises is remarkable. She provided important insights and encouragement throughout the past years of my art practice. She has a variety of unlimited skills in technology and media. Not only has she provided wisdom, energy, and a lifetime of expertise, but her range of knowledge reflects experiences that are often unique and well-balanced. Her integrity is exceptional and extraordinary, and she possesses a strong sensitivity for culture. I am familiar with her nonprofit work as well as professional involvements. She is proficient and skilled in diplomacy as well as mediation, and has guided many others with gentle compassion and a caring attitude. I believe Tadia will be an outstanding ethics commissioner because she understands people and knows how to get things done. She's one of the most productive people that I know, with numerous skill sets and a range of expertise. She would be an asset to the city and county of Honolulu. Thank you very much.
Okay, members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else here in the council chamber who'd like to testify? Okay, seeing none, clerks, is there anyone who's registered remotely or standing by remotely who would like to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, there being none, members, we are in discussion. Members, any discussion? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to mahalo the nominee for being willing to serve, and so thank you for that, and appreciate it. Yeah, mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Council Vice Chair Kia Aina, followed by Tupola.
Chair, I just wanted to also mahalo Tadia for her commitment to elevating others, her broad experience, which includes advocating for justice and equity for all, specifically in support of women and girls around the world, is truly commendable. And here at home, we are so grateful for your volunteerism and community work at the Women's Correctional Facility and the Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club. So mahalo for agreeing to serve on the commission.
My honor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much for being willing to serve on this commission. I've just been so impressed with your background, your global and international ties, and not necessarily because that's what makes a good ethics commissioner, but I think a worldview of injustices, fairness, equity, and you having all of these different backgrounds is going to bring so much depth and breadth to the conversation. So we're delighted to have you. I honestly enjoyed our conversations and look forward to learning more about you and possibly other ways that we can work with you to better our city. Thank you, Chair.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you. Members, any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, the chair recommends that Resolution 23-143 be reported out for adoption. Any final discussion or objections or reservations to that recommendation? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Thank you, Ms. Rice. We'll see you at a subsequent council meeting. Agenda item number 5, Resolution 23-209, which urges the Department of Human Resources to work with the University of Hawaii Community Colleges system to create a general civics program at the community colleges on Oahu. We have with us the Director of Human Resources, Nola Miyazaki.
Thank you, Chair, members of the council. Nola Miyazaki, Director of Human Resources. Yes, thank you for this resolution. We are very interested in working with the community colleges in terms of filling vacancies. We have been in touch with the community colleges, and we have a meeting set up this week, so I think this is a great opportunity. We have a program between the city and the UH called Good Jobs Oahu. That's a $5 million grant that actually pays for training and kind of probably is in alignment with this resolution. So we will be working closely with the Office of Economic Revitalization as well, who's spearheading that grant for us.
Okay, thank you, members. Any questions? Council Vice Chair Kia Aina.
Thank you. Yes, I am aware of that program, but I was hoping that your collaboration would be broader than that, because that is a specific program. I'm thinking about looking at all of the areas. Just let's take Department of Permitting and Planning as an example. They need a lot of engineers. And so I'm looking at sustainable programs institutionalized within the system that would target certain areas where there's a dearth of people applying and build a foundation, whether it be through internships, fellowships, so that the university system can align itself with the needs of the city and county of Honolulu. So I guess I want to make sure that we are looking at beyond the certain program that you described, which I'm quite familiar with, but it's not the cure-all for the challenges that we face.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We do have certain specific programs. We have an engineering student internship program that's used by a couple of the departments, but certainly there's more opportunities to work with UH and also the community colleges too on different kinds of jobs. So absolutely, we look forward to working with UH and community colleges.
And if you don't mind, I brought this up before, but loan forgiveness is so appealing to many students, and I don't know how that's going to be done, who's going to pay for the loan forgiveness, but I guess because it's so hard for the city to recruit with the private sector, and the federal government is so huge here, especially the Department of Defense, and they're taking a lot of our talent. And I would think that an incentive would also include loan forgiveness, figure out a collective package so that we can help keep our college students here after they graduate. Thank you.
Thank you. The loan forgiveness program, agree, is wonderful, and it doesn't cost us anything. It's part of being a public employee for a number of years, so it really is a great benefit. And we do try to promote it with job fairs. Yes, thank you.
Members, any other questions? I do have one question. I note that the resolution calls for the creation of the civics program, which would lead to an internship with the city. I was wondering if you could talk about the status of the Po'okela Fellows program and how that's going overall.
The Po'okela program is really a wonderful program. Last year we had more interns than we really could afford. We had somewhere between 25 and 30, and we don't have enough funding for all of them, so the departments that are interested, some of them have to pay out of their own budget. But we do try to find ways to retain the students through contract positions or other long-term permanent positions. So it's a small program, but it's extremely popular, and it's really valuable it's a valuable experience for the UH students, not just in terms of getting them in, positions in the city, but actually creating awareness among the university and the university population of the benefits of working for the city. So we really, I think it's a very good program. During COVID, as you probably know, we were down because of budget restrictions. We only had a handful of Po'okela interns, and thanks to council and the mayor's office, we've been able to increase the funding and bring it back to full funding. But again, a lot of the departments have to pay for their own interns just due to its very limited funding at this point.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly, and Mahalo, Director, for that info. Do we know about what percentage of Po'okela fellows end up working at the city?
Every year we probably have one or two, and then we have some that are from the prior years that end up working for the city. They don't always come right into the city. The city has limited positions for college students who have no working experience into permanent civil service jobs. So often they come in as contractors, but we do have some really excellent Po'okela interns, but I would say one or two a year, and then some from prior years that come back to the city and work for us.
Okay, appreciate that, Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll open it to testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers? Angela Melody Young, please. Actually, we have one registered testifier, which we'll do first. What's the process for this? Okay, we'll do Angela first. And then we'll go to the registered remote testifiers.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and the City Council. Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES in strong support for Resolution 23-209. And the resolution urges the Department of Human Resources to work with the University of Hawaii's community college system to create a general civics program. And previously, there was a program called Oahu Back to Work, and it provides career training for Oahu students and residents who suffered job loss or an employment setback because of COVID-19. In fall 2020 and fall 2021, the University of Hawaii's community colleges trained nearly 3,000 people through this partnership with the county and city of Honolulu. And since then, the program, it's over. So we are in support to build other programs to train people in career training. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone else in the chamber who would like to testify? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed with the registered remote testifiers. I see we have Della Teraoka. Welcome, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Della Teraoka, Acting Vice President for the University of Hawaii Community Colleges. The UH Community Colleges support the intent of this resolution, and my written testimony has been provided. We work closely with businesses and organizations to align our training programs with their workforce needs. We do not believe a resolution is necessary, as we are willing to collaborate with the Department of Human Resources. However, if you decide to pass this resolution, we have provided some suggested amendments, and we're also willing to work with the committee to ensure the resolution supports the goals of the city. So thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Yeah, members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Okay, members, well, clerks, is there anyone else standing by remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, members, we'll enter into discussion on this matter. Any discussion? Council Vice Chair Kiaina.
I would like to have their recommendations included in the resolution if in fact we move forward with this resolution. We're all trying to work together. No sense in passing something unilaterally, telling them to collaborate when they already have that authority. And if we're going to move something forward, let's do it together.
Correct. So the proposed amendments are in the testimony packet for this. They're actually fairly simple. They are recommending in one of the be it resolved clauses to strike out the words program of study and replace it with training through non-credit opportunities. And then in another be it resolved clause, striking out 1 year of coursework focused on general government followed by a 1 year everything else, replacing that with the development of an initiative that provides work-based learning activities and innovative programming inclusive of an internship program with the city. So it's actually fairly minor. That being said, we do have the introducers of this measure, and maybe we should ask them if they'd be willing to consider that.
Any way to get this particular program successful? Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, well, it sounds like we may have I don't know what the process would be to amend it to the suggested, do a floor amendment. We can do it out loud. We can do it orally. Council Vice Chair Kiaina, since it was your recommendation, would you like to make such a motion? I can read out the details, but it'll be formally your motion.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept the recommendations from the University of Hawaii. Second, community colleges. Program.
Okay, and just to clarify, again, this would change the language in, let me pull up the correct be it resolved clause just for the record. This would change the first be it resolved clause where it says the words program of study. In the third line of the first be it resolved clause, the words program of study would be replaced with the words, quote, training through non-credit opportunities. And then in the second be it resolved clause, that is the be it further resolved clause, it would replace the words 1 year of coursework focused on general government, followed by a 1 year, with the words, the development of an initiative that provides work-based learning activities and innovative programming, comma, inclusive of an, and then we'll continue with the words internship program with the city, et cetera, et cetera. Understood?
Mr. Chair, I just had one question.
Yes.
In the testimony by Ms. Teraoka, is the director in support of that provision whereby it is a non-credit course?
Yep. Okay, that's a very good question. Perhaps we have the director, DHR director. I don't know if you heard Speaker Say's question.
It was just dealing with the provision of that it being a non-credit course. Are you open to that?
Yes, there are certain, we will have to work closely with our classification pay division and the community colleges to, make sure that the coursework and whatever is being part of the training, actually qualifies the graduates of the, program into certain types of jobs. So we would have to work with them on that.
Okay. Ms. Teraoka, are you open to that discussion about the non-credit course? Yes.
All right, I see a thumbs up, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a minute to get unmuted, but we're just happy to be able to work with the department, so no problem.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, so members, there is a motion on the floor to amend it to do a floor amendment as recommended by the University of Hawaii system. Is there any discussion on that proposed amendment? Any objections or reservations? All right, hearing none, the resolution 23-209, has been amended to a CD1 as discussed. All right, in that case, the chair would then recommend that resolution 23-209 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. Okay. Members, we now move to executive session. The following items as posted on the agenda have been referred to executive session. I'll read the items individually to allow for oral public testimony on each item. The first, which is agenda item number 6, is a request for recommendation to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled James A. Conant Jr. Trust versus City and County of Honolulu et al., civil number 1CC 181001910, Circuit Court. We'll proceed with in-person testimony. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers or anyone in the chamber who'd like to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, there being none, is there anyone standing by remotely to testify or registered remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, then we'll move on to item number 7. Right, this is a request for authorization to settle a claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled First Insurance as Subrogee for Merrill Gerard versus City and County of Honolulu, matter ID 22-02187. Clerks, do we have any in-person testifiers or anyone waiting in the chamber to testify?
Chair, there are none.
There being none, clerks, do we have any registered remote testifiers or anyone standing by remotely to testify?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, there being none, members, are there any objections to convening into executive session? Okay, there being no objections, the committee will be convening into a closed meeting pursuant to HRS sections 92-4 and 92-5A4 to consult in a closed meeting with its attorneys on the questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and or liabilities of the city, the council, and its committees on the listed items on the agenda for executive session. The following persons will be participating in executive session: all council members present, Corporation Counsel Dwayne W.H. Pang, Catherine N.K. Nest, Mario K. Everett, and Seichi Liu, Office of Council Services Staff Attorney. Members, are we staying here or are we going to the conference room? Okay, I guess since everyone's been kicked out, I guess we can stay here. So clerks will have to start packing everything up. I'll now call a recess. The Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs is reconvened. It's 2:17 p.m. Pursuant to Section 92-4 and 92-5A4 about your revised statutes, the committee is consulted in executive session with its attorneys on questions and issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and/or liabilities of the city, the council, and its committees on the items listed on the agenda for executive session. I'll now make my recommendations on the 2 executive session items. The chair recommends that the request for recommendation to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled James A. Conant Jr. Trust versus City and County of Honolulu et al., civil number 1CC 181001910, Circuit Court, be approved. Members, any discussion, objections, or reservations to that recommendation? Okay, hearing none, so ordered. The chair then recommends that the request for authorization to settle a claim against the City and County of Honolulu entitled First Insurance as subrogee for Merrill Gerard versus City and County of Honolulu, matter ID 22-02187 be approved. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.